Welcome, nighttime traveler, to Sleepy Bedtime Stories, your haven of stories and tales to help you sleep. This is the place where traditional tales come to life and accompany you on your journey to rest. But first, tell me where you're listening from tonight and what time it is where you are. I'd love to know if you're joining me from your bed, from a cozy sofa, or perhaps from some corner of the world where you can still feel the spirit of ancient tales. Please leave me a comment. Every message from you is like a fragment of a precious amphora. If you'd like to support this space of peace and relaxation, subscribe and share the channel so that more people can find their refuge here. And now, take a slow, deep breath, because tonight we're going to dive into another thrilling story.
Waterfalls, Rain and Wind. Chapter 1. The constant murmur of waterfalls under the night sky. There is a sound that the world has produced since long before anyone existed to hear it. A sound that fell upon ancient stones when there were still no human ears to receive it. A sound that filled valleys and canyons during millions of years of absolute silence. On a young planet that built its mountains and carved its rivers without witnesses. A sound that has accompanied human beings since their first awakening on Earth, that has entered their dreams and their myths and their oldest songs, that has been worshipped as a god and feared as an omen and loved as a companion on long nights. It is the sound of falling water. Listen to it now, in the distance of your imagination. Let it come gently, as water always comes when it is not asked to hurry. First as a distant whisper, almost indistinguishable from the wind in the trees or the murmur of your own breath slowing down. Is greater than, then closer, clearer, more real. The continuous white murmur of a waterfall falling in the darkness, which has been falling all night, which will fall throughout the rest of the night, which was falling before you arrived and will continue to fall when you are fast asleep. That permanence is part of what makes the sound of water so capable of lulling people to sleep. It is not a sound that begins and ends. It is not a sound with a melody to follow or a rhythm to anticipate. It is a sound that simply is, that exists with the same serene indifference as the sky or the horizon, that requires nothing of you except that you listen to it, or not even that. That remains the same whether you listen to it or not. That does not need your attention to exist. And in that independence, in that constancy that depends on nothing from you and demands nothing of you, lies all the rest you seek tonight. Close your eyes. Breathe. And let this story carry you towards the water. There is a waterfall in southern Venezuela that for centuries was known only to the indigenous peoples who inhabited the Gran Sabana. that expanse of ancient plateaus and tepuis that rise above the jungle like islands in time. The Pemones, the people who have lived on those lands since before there was any European name for the place, called it Kerepakupai Meru, which in their language means the leap from the deepest place. The Pemonese did not need to measure the waterfall to know it was extraordinary. They felt it before they saw it. The roar of the water reached them long before the sight, traveling through the dense, humid air of the jungle like a living presence, heralding its own magnificence. In the year 1933, an adventurous American pilot named James Crawford Angel was flying over that region in search of valuable minerals when he saw something from his small plane that left him speechless. Through the clouds surrounding the Tepui Oyan Tepui, which in the Pemon language means the Devil's Mountain, he saw a column of water falling from a height that seemed impossible to him. A white, eternal column descending from the edge of the plateau until it vanished into the mist of the valley, without touching anything in its path, free in the air for almost a kilometer's fall. Angel saw it again in 1937, this time with his wife and 2 companions, and attempted to land on the summit of the Tepui. The plane became stuck in the marshy terrain at the summit, and the group had to descend on foot for 11 days through the jungle. But the pilot's name became forever linked to the waterfall that the Pemon people had known for centuries. Angel Falls, as Venezuelan cartographers named it in honor of the lost aviator, is, with its 979-meter freefall, the highest waterfall in the world, more than 16 times the height of Niagara Falls. Imagine that plunge in the darkness of night. Oyan Tepui sleeping beneath the stars, with its ancient surface of reddish sandstone that is over 2 billion years old, older than the continents as we know them, older than almost anything we can imagine. The Gauja River gathering at the edge of the plateau, hesitating for an instant that lasts forever, and then plunging into the void with a confidence that only water can have, knowing that it will always find its way down, knowing that gravity is its most faithful and constant ally. During the first 200 meters of the fall, the water is still water. You can see the glint of the current in the darkness if there is a moon, the white flash of the liquid column against the dark rock. But then, long before reaching the bottom, the water disperses. The resistance of the air in that very long fall breaks the column into ever smaller droplets in a cloud of vapor and mist that the valley wind sometimes carries kilometers away before it touches the ground. The water does not reach the bottom as water. It arrives as mist, like a breath, like a damp, gentle presence that covers the valley forest with a permanent mist, giving the area vegetation of extraordinary density and richness. The water is transformed as it falls. That is perhaps the most beautiful secret of waterfalls, that the water falling from above is not the same as that which reaches the bottom. Along the way, something happens. Something is released. Something changes form. Something that was mass and current becomes vapor and light. Waterfalls are places of transformation. Places where water dies as a river and is reborn as mist, then as dew, and then as life. The peoples who have lived near the world's great waterfalls, on every continent and in every age, have felt that transformation as something sacred. And they were not mistaken, even though their explanations were mythical rather than scientific. There was something about the waterfalls that defied ordinary understanding, something that belonged to an order of reality different from that of everyday things. The perpetual sound, the mist floating over the water as if the waterfall were breathing, the rainbow that appeared on sunny days in the mist of the cascade, the brutal force of the impact against the rocks below, all of this spoke of a presence that deserved respect, that deserved prayer, that deserved to be listened to. The sound of a waterfall at night is different from the sound of a waterfall by day. By day, the ear competes with other sounds, the birds, the wind, the voices, the noise of the world that never stops. At night, when everything else falls silent, the waterfall reveals itself in all its glory. It becomes greater in some way, more present, as if the darkness, by removing the visual noise of visible things, restored to the ear its ability to take in the world in its entirety. Neuroscientists who study the effect of sound on the human brain have a name for the type of sound produced by a waterfall. They call it white noise. Although that technical term does not do justice to the richness of what it actually is. White noise contains all frequencies of the sound spectrum simultaneously, just as white light contains all colors. And when the brain receives this full spectrum of frequencies continuously and without sudden variations, something happens that researchers have measured and documented, but which anyone who has slept near a waterfall already knows from experience. The brain relaxes. The brain waves associated with the waking state, the high-frequency beta waves, slow down. Alpha waves appear, which correspond to conscious relaxation. And then, if the environment allows it, the theta waves of light sleep. And finally, the delta waves of deep sleep, dreamless sleep, the sleep that restores and regenerates and makes it possible for a human being to wake up the next day as in some small but real sense, a slightly different person from the one who went to sleep. The sound of the waterfall facilitates that journey. It masks the small, disturbing noises, the creaking of wood, the passing of a distant vehicle, the sound of the house cooling down at night. It absorbs them into its own continuous murmur and makes them disappear. And in that space of uniform, constant sound, the brain can finally let go of the vigilance it maintains during the day. That vigilance which, in the modern world, never ends completely because there is always something else to be alert to. There is always a new sound to classify, new information to process. The waterfall says, "You can stop listening with such tense attention now. You can listen effortlessly now. Here, there is only water. Water falling. Water that always falls the same way. There is nothing to fear in this sound. There is nothing to interpret. You just have to let yourself be carried away by it, like a leaf falling into the river and letting itself be carried by the current without resisting, without asking where it is going, trusting that the water knows its way. Let your mind be that leaf now, light, without resistance, gently carried by the murmur of water falling somewhere in the darkness. The Iguazu Falls stretch for almost 3 kilometers along the border between Argentina and Brazil, at the point where the Iguazu River, which in Guarani means big water, plunges into the void in an arc of 275 individual falls, which together form the widest waterfall in the world. Eleanor Roosevelt, when she saw them for the first time in the 20th century, uttered a phrase that has been repeated many times since and which captures something real about the experience of standing before so much water falling at once. She exclaimed that Niagara Falls seemed small in comparison. But what Eleanor Roosevelt could not say, because no phrase quite captures it, is what it feels like at night by the Iguazu Falls. When the last visitors have left and the park rangers close the paths and the jungle regains its centuries-old silence, the roar of the water takes over everything. It is not just a sound, it is a vibration. You feel it in your chest, in your bones, in the soles of your feet if you are standing on the wooden walkway that stretches over the falls. The air is completely saturated with moisture. The temperature is always several degrees cooler than in the surrounding jungle. The trees at the edge of the abyss are covered in moss, ferns, and orchids that can only exist in that microclimate created by the perpetual dampness of the falls. And on full moon nights, which are perhaps the most extraordinary nights one can spend in that part of the world, the Iguazu Falls produce one of the strangest and most beautiful phenomena nature has in its repertoire, the lunar rainbow. When the full moon is high enough and the sky is clear and the mist from the falls is dense enough, the eye can see in the darkness an arc of soft colors, paler than those of the solar rainbow, but just as real, just as complete, hanging over the abyss, illuminated by the moon like a promise or a blessing that the water bestows upon the night. The Guarani, the people who have inhabited those jungles since time immemorial, have a legend about the origin of the falls that is as beautiful as the phenomenon it seeks to explain. It tells of a serpent god named Mboy who lived in the Iguazu River and had chosen as his own a young woman named Naipi, whom the gods had destined as an offering. But a warrior named Tarabar loved Naipi and fled with her in a canoe down the river to escape her fate. Mboy, enraged, writhed beneath the riverbed and split the earth open in a huge gash, creating the abyss into which the river plunged forever. Tarabar was turned into a tree on the edge of the abyss, condemned to gaze eternally upon Naipi, turned into rock at the base of the fall, with the water falling upon her ceaselessly like a caress that never ends. It is a story of love and loss that the water tells without words every second of every day and every night. A story that the river has carried, written in its fall, since before there were humans to hear it. And there is in that image, in that rock at the bottom of the abyss with the water falling upon it eternally, something that, in the silence of the night, becomes not tragic but serene. The falling water is not just force and noise, it is also constancy. It is also presence. It is also a form of love that the world has for itself, a love expressed in the perpetual downward movement of the water, always downwards, towards the valley, towards the sea, towards the sky again in the form of a cloud, towards the mountain again in the form of rain, towards the river again in the form of a stream, towards the waterfall again in the form of a cascade. The water cycle is perhaps the most beautiful cycle that exists in nature on this planet. And waterfalls are its most dramatic moment, its most visible and audible expression. They are the instant when the water abandons the tranquil horizontality of the river and surrenders unreservedly to the verticality of the plunge. The moment when the current decides, if indeed water can decide anything, that the most direct path is downwards. That gravity is not an obstacle but an invitation. Make yourself small now. Imagine yourself sitting on a rock at the edge of a dark river, somewhere in a jungle you do not know, but which smells of damp earth and night-blooming flowers and ancient moss. Listen to the river drawing near its edge. Listen to the sound growing louder, how the distant murmur becomes a nearby roar. how the air fills with dampness as you approach the waterfall. And then, suddenly, the darkness opens and the sound becomes everything. The waterfall falls before you, white in the darkness, luminous with a light that seems to come from within the water itself. And the roar is so complete and so all-encompassing that it ceases to be a roar and becomes silence. In the white silence that only very great water can create, the silence within the sound, that silence within the sound is the place where dreams live. On the African continent, on the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, the Zambezi River approaches its banks with a deceptive calm. The river is wide. Here, more than a kilometer from one bank to the other, and flows with that apparent slowness of the great African rivers, which seems tranquil, but which is in reality a mass of water so enormous that it moves slowly only because it is too vast to move any other way. Elephants cross it during the dry months. Hippos doze on its banks. Crocodiles sunbathe on the sandbanks with the immobility of animals that have survived unchanged for millions of years. And then the river reaches its edge and falls. Victoria Falls, which the 19th century British settlers named in honour of their queen, but which the peoples who had lived there since time immemorial called Mosio Atunya, which in the Kololo language means the smoke that thunders, are 108 meters high and almost 2 kilometers wide. When the river is at its peak flow, between February and May, 600 million liters of water per minute crash down over that line of rock. 600 million liters. It is a number the human brain cannot easily visualize. It is too much. It is more water than any mind can hold in a single thought. The roaring smoke, the name says it all. The cloud of mist rising above Victoria Falls can be seen from a distance of 50 kilometers on clear days. From the air, it looks like a huge fire, a column of white smoke rising above the jungle like a signal. Travelers crossing the African continent centuries ago, long before any European explorer had reached that region, knew that when they saw that cloud on the horizon, they were close to something extraordinary, something that deserved respect in distance or respect in approach, depending on the courage and curiosity of each individual. David Livingstone, the Scottish missionary and explorer who was the first European to document the falls in November 1855, wrote in his diary with an emotion he rarely allowed himself to express so freely. He had never seen anything so beautiful and so terrifying at the same time. He described the rising mist, the rainbows multiplying in the mist, the roar that filled his chest with a vibration that resembled fear but was In reality, something different, something more akin to humility, to the sudden realization of how small a human being is compared to how vast the world can be. That humility is another of the gifts that waterfalls offer to those who approach them with true attention. Not the humility that crushes, but the kind that sets you free. When the world is so vast and so powerful and so beautiful, the worries that seemed enormous at dawn become small. They do not disappear, because worries are real and deserve your attention at the right time. But beside 1,000,000 liters of water falling every second onto an ancient rock, they take on their true proportions. They are human. They are manageable. They are temporary. And you, too, are temporary. And tonight, that is no cause for anguish, but for relief. You are part of the same cycle as the water. You are part of the same world that produces these amazing things. Your tiredness tonight and your need for sleep are as natural and as legitimate as the river's need to fall when it reaches its edge. It is simply what is needed now. The moment to leap into sleep. Let yourself fall on the islands of the North Atlantic, where the ocean has carved cliffs of black basalt over millions of years of geological patience. There are waterfalls that do not fall into rivers or valleys, but directly into the sea. Iceland, that volcanic island on the edge of the Arctic Circle, where the land is still so young and so active that volcanoes continue to shape the landscape with the same energy as they did 10,000 years ago, has more than 10,000 catalogued waterfalls. 10,000. In a country of just 300,000 inhabitants and covering 103,000 square kilometers, there is almost one waterfall for every 10 square kilometers of land. Among them all, there is one that the Icelanders call Skogafoss, which simply means the forest waterfall, although the forest that gives it its name is so ancient and has been so transformed by time that it barely resembles a forest. It is 60 meters high and 25 meters wide, and plunges into a pool of dark green water surrounded by black rocks, covered in moss of such an intense green that it seems unreal, as if painted by someone who wanted to prove that green can be greener than one normally imagines. On sunny days, and sunny days in Iceland are all the more precious because they are so rare. The Skogafoss waterfall constantly produces a rainbow at its base that is so ever-present and so still that it seems part of the permanent fabric of the place, as if the rainbow were just another feature of the landscape, as fixed as the rocks and as essential as the water. And on summer nights, when the Icelandic sun does not set completely but skims the horizon with a slanting, golden light that lasts for hours, the water falls in colors that no photograph can fully capture because they are too subtle and too fleeting. colors that exist on the edge of the visible, which the eye perceives, but which the mind cannot quite name. The Vikings who colonized Iceland over 1,000 years ago, in the 9th century AD, chose this place as their home, not only because it was available land in a Europe already densely populated, but because they found in that extreme landscape something that resonated with their own character. A landscape where beauty and brutality coexisted without contradiction, where geysers gushed beside glaciers and volcanoes burned beneath the ice and waterfalls plunged down ocean cliffs. A landscape that never ceased to amaze, that never allowed complacency, that constantly reminded its inhabitants that they lived in a living place, on a planet still in the process of shaping itself. And on the interminably long nights of the Icelandic winter, when the sun did not rise for 20 hours on end, and the northern lights danced over the snow-covered landscape with their curtains of green and violet light, the sound of the waterfalls that never froze was a comfort. It was a presence. It was the constant voice of a world that carried on even when the darkness was complete. Icelandic waterfalls do not sleep in winter, though many of the smaller ones freeze into sculptures of transparent ice that last until spring melts them away. The large ones continue to fall beneath the ice and the cold, reduced but tireless, reminding whoever listens to them in the darkness that water does not give up. Listen to that now as if it were a message addressed to you. Water does not give up. Not because it is tenacious in the human sense of sustained effort against resistance, but because it simply follows its nature. It cannot help but flow. It cannot help but fall when it reaches the edge. It is what it is. It does what it has to do, effortlessly, without drama, without needing anyone to applaud or validate it. It simply falls. It simply flows. It simply is. You too can simply be tonight, effortlessly, without drama, without needing anything in particular to happen except what is already happening. Your breathing slowing down, your muscles relaxing one by one, from your feet to your shoulders to the small muscles around your eyes that are softening. Thought becoming less urgent, less precise, more fluid. The boundary between being awake and asleep becoming blurrier, more permeable, easier to cross in the direction of sleep. In the heart of the Amazon rainforest, where the rivers are so wide that the opposite bank vanishes into the mist and the trees are as tall as 10-story buildings, and the nighttime rains fall with such intensity that the sound of wet leaves is indistinguishable from the sound of a river. There are waterfalls that no one has yet named. Waterfalls that cascade over ancient rock without any cartographer having ever reached them, without any camera having captured them, without any traveler having written about them. Waterfalls that exist perfectly, completely, in their own existence, without needing to be known to be real. There is something about that idea that may seem melancholic at first glance, but which is actually deeply comforting. There is beauty that does not need to be seen to exist. There are sounds that do not need to be heard to ring out. The world does not exist to be contemplated, documented, or understood. It exists simply, and we are part of that existence, not its owners nor its exclusive custodians, but simply part of the same enormous and wonderful thing, completely indifferent to our concerns, which also produces waterfalls and rainbows and the northern lights and the sound of water on stones in the darkness of the night. Being part of that is enough. Being part of that tonight, in this bed, with this honest weariness that your body bears with patience, is enough. You need nothing more than this. You need not go anywhere. You don't need to remember anything, or solve anything, or decide anything. You just need to let the sound of the water carry you, as it carries the leaves and the petals and all the light things the river gathers on its way to the waterfall. In Southeast Asia, in the mountains of the region now divided between Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar, the water has a quality that those seeing it for the first time find difficult to describe precisely. The calcareous mineral that abounds in this geology causes the rivers flowing over these rocks to slowly deposit their minerals on the riverbed and banks, creating, over time, natural structures of incredible delicacy. Dams of white rock that the water has built drop by drop over centuries. Pools that climb the slopes like the footsteps of a giant who has left his mark on the landscape. Waterfalls cascading over terraces of white and turquoise travertine. The water so mineral-rich and laden with sediment that its color is not the murky brown of mountain rivers, but an impossible blue-green, a color that seems invented for a film or a dream. The Erawan waterfalls in the Thai province of Kanchanaburi take their name from the three-headed elephant of Hindu and Buddhist mythology that inhabited the spiritual traditions of that region. 7 tiers of waterfalls cascading up the mountainside, each tier with its own pool of a different shade of green or blue, each tier with its own sound, its own fish swimming fearlessly between the feet of those who wade into the water. The place is so beautiful that those who come to see it at night, when the tourists have left and the jungle regains its nocturnal voice, speak of it with a reverence very much like that felt in sacred places. The fact is that in the Buddhist tradition that permeates the cultural spirit of that region, flowing water serves as a constant lesson on the nature of all things. Shakyamuni Buddha did not choose the image of the river by chance as the central metaphor for his understanding of reality. He chose the river because the river expresses through its own movement what philosophy can only approximate with words. Everything flows. Nothing remains. What appears solid is in reality movement. What appears permanent is in reality continuous change. The rock upon which the water falls seems hard and unchanging, but the water, with its patience, which is not patience but simply nature, is sculpting it ceaselessly, second by second, drop by drop, until the rock takes on the shape the water wants it to have. The mind seeking sleep tonight can learn something from that image. The tension that resists rest, the thoughts that keep turning when there is no longer any light to feed them, are like the rock. They seem solid, they seem permanent, they seem like obstacles that must be overcome with effort. But the sound of falling water, continuous and gentle and without urgency, shapes them without you realizing it. It rounds them off. It smooths away their edges. It transforms them, little by little, into smooth stones that the river carries effortlessly towards the sea. Thoughts soften with the sound of the water. Worries lose their urgency. The future that seemed to demand immediate thought can now wait until tomorrow, when there will be enough light to think it through properly. Tonight, there is nothing to resolve that cannot wait. Tonight, the only work that matters is the silent, automatic work of sleep, which requires no conscious participation on your part, which will happen only if you step out of the way and stop trying to control it. Stop trying to sleep. Just listen to the water. In northern Norway, near the Arctic Circle, there is a fjord called Geiranger Fjord, which travelers who have seen it from the water by boat invariably describe in the same terms used for things that lie beyond ordinary language. The fjord's walls rise almost vertically from the water to heights of over 1,000 meters, with a geological severity that makes the sky from the bottom of the fjord appear as a narrow strip of light between two worlds of stone. And upon those walls, suspended in the air as if gravity had decided to make an exception and leave the water still for a moment before letting it fall, there are waterfalls. The most famous of these is called the Seven Brothers. 7 streams of water falling in parallel from the edge of the plateau into the dark waters of the fjord. In spring and summer, when the snowmelt feeds the mountain rivers, the 7 streams are full, and the waterfall is a spectacle that cruise passengers photograph from the deck, with the look of people seeing something they hadn't expected to find in the real world. In autumn and winter, when water is scarce, some of the streams thin out until they almost disappear, and the waterfall becomes something more delicate, more ethereal, more like a whisper than a voice. The Vikings who sailed those fjords over 1,000 years ago, the same ones who colonized Iceland and reached the American continent 5 centuries before Columbus, heard those waterfalls on their nights at sea and incorporated them into their mythology as the voices of the Valkyries, the warrior maidens who selected heroes fallen in battle to take them to Valhalla. There was in that sound, in that water falling onto the rock of the fjord, echoing through the narrow gorge between the vertical stone walls, something that seemed more than natural to the Nordic mind. It seemed supernatural in the best sense of the word, a nature that transcended its usual limits and touched upon something beyond. You don't need to believe in Valkyries to feel that. You just need to listen to the water with true attention, with that effortless attention that neither seeks nor classifies, but simply receives. When the sound enters unfiltered, when it reaches directly the place where the body knows what the mind sometimes forgets, something happens that no science can fully explain, though many sciences can measure its effects. Something relaxes that is usually tense. Something opens that is usually closed. Something remembers that not everything depends on you, that the world will carry on whilst you sleep, that the waterfalls will keep falling, that the rivers will keep flowing, that the water cycle does not need you to be awake to continue. The world doesn't need you awake tonight. You can go. You can disappear for a few hours into sleep, and the world will still be here when you return. The stars will remain in their places. The water will continue to fall, and you will be, upon waking, a little more yourself than you were when you fell asleep. There is a tradition in Japan that the Japanese call Shinrin-yoku, which can be translated as forest bathing. It is not swimming in the forest or literally bathing amongst the trees, although the image has its own poetry. It is simply being in the forest with all your senses open, walking slowly amongst the trees, listening to the sounds, smelling the damp earth and the resin of the pines, feeling the different air that exists beneath the forest canopy, letting the forest enter through every available sense and allowing it to do what the forest does when you let it: calm the nervous system, lower blood pressure, reduce cortisol levels in the blood, restore to the body and mind a serenity that cities, screens, and busy schedules gradually take away. The best places for Japanese Shinrin-yoku are forests where there is water, streams, ponds, small waterfalls cascading over moss-covered rocks with a sound so soft that you have to stand very still to hear it. That soft sound, that little waterfall in the Japanese forest, is perhaps the polar opposite of the roar of Iguazu or the thunder of Mosi Oatunya. But its effect on those who hear it in the stillness of the nighttime forest is equally profound. Perhaps even more profound, because to hear it, one must press one's ear close one's eyes, and cease doing anything other than listening. In classical Japanese gardens, which are philosophical as well as aesthetic expressions, water is always present. Japanese garden designers of the Heian period, over 1,000 years ago, understood that the sound of water was as important as its appearance. They designed the courses of artificial streams, chose the angle of small ornamental waterfalls, and calculated the size of the stones onto which the water would fall to achieve exactly the sound they wanted. Not a roar or a crash, but a murmur, a gentle tinkling, the soft voice of water speaking of things that require no haste. That exquisite care in choosing the sound of water says something about the culture that practiced it. A culture that understood that the environment in which we live shapes the state of our mind and body in ways that are not always conscious, but are real and profound. A culture that understood that beauty is not a luxury, but a necessity. That the sound of water is not an ornament, but nourishment for something that, without that nourishment, dries up and hardens. Your mind needs that nourishment tonight, and it has it. In the imaginary sound of the waterfall that accompanies this story, in the constant murmur you can hear if you close your eyes and stop listening to the noises closest to you and open yourself up to the inner sound that memory or imagination can produce. The sound of water is within you too, in some way. Your body is mostly water. Your cells are bathed in water. The beating of your heart has the rhythm of something that flows. Your breath takes the form of something that comes and goes like the waves. You are also a little like a waterfall, a little like a river, a little like water falling towards its destination with the simple confidence that it knows it will find its way. The frozen waterfalls of winter have their own silent beauty that is unlike anything else. In the Swiss Alps, in the Rocky Mountains of North America, in the Pyrenees that divide Spain and France, some waterfalls freeze in the deepest cold months. The process is gradual. First, the edges, where the water is thinner and the rock colder, form a fringe of icicles that grow downwards during the freezing days. Then the central layer, thicker, slower, and better protected by its own flow, continues to flow beneath the armor of ice that is formed around it. And in the harshest winters, on nights when the temperature drops well below freezing, even that central core freezes, and the waterfall is frozen in time. Frozen but not dead. Beneath the ice, the water continues to flow, invisible from the outside, awaiting spring with the patience possessed only by things that know spring will come without fail. Frozen waterfalls are temporary sculptures created by the cold and to be undone by the warmth. Expressions of that eternal cycle of transformation that water carries within its very essence. And when, at dawn, the wind descends from the snow-capped peaks and sweeps over the frozen waterfall, it sometimes produces a sound that mountaineers sleeping in nearby huts describe as the strangest and most beautiful sound they have ever heard. A sound that is almost musical, almost vocal, almost as if the waterfall, frozen but not entirely silenced, was still speaking in another language, the language of ice, the language of the cold that holds. There is something in that image that speaks of you tonight. You are not frozen. You are not still. But you are, or you may be, in that state of apparent stillness that holds something alive within it. The approaching sleep is not the absence of life, but its innermost expression. Beneath the still surface of a sleeping body, extraordinary things occur that science has taken centuries to begin to understand. The brain consolidates the day's memories, selecting what is important and discarding what is not. The body's cells repair themselves. The immune system strengthens its defenses. Growth hormones carry out their nighttime work. Dreams process emotions, rehearse scenarios, organize the day's material into structures that can be retrieved more easily tomorrow. Beneath the stillness of sleep, life goes on, just as beneath the ice of a winter waterfall, the water continues to flow. You don't see it. You don't feel it. You don't have to. You just have to let it happen. You just have to step aside and let the body do what it knows how to do, what it has known how to do since long before any human being knew how to name it. The world's highest waterfall now plunges into the darkness of the Venezuelan jungle. The Zambezi hurls itself into the abyss of thundering smoke, unasked and unanticipated. Iceland's Skogafoss crashes onto its black rock with the same sound it made when the Vikings first heard it 1,000 years ago. The seven brothers of the Norwegian fjord descend in parallel streams down the vertical stone face towards the dark waters of the fjord. The turquoise travertine waterfalls of Erewhon reflect a moon that is not looking, but which, were it to do so, would bestow its light upon them with the same generosity with which it bestows it upon the sea. All those waterfalls are falling tonight. They have been falling all night whilst you listen to this story. They have been falling for as long as you have been in this bed, since you laid your head on the pillow and asked for sleep to come. And they will fall for the rest of the night, every second, without rest, with that constancy that only water possesses, that constant murmur beneath the night skies for you. It is yours tonight. You can take it with you into your sleep as one takes a blanket, as something that covers and protects and says without words that you are safe, that the world follows its order, that there are forces far greater than your worries doing their eternal work in the darkness. The sound of falling water, the constant murmur of waterfalls beneath the night sky. Let it carry you. You're almost there. You can feel it, that soft edge where wakefulness gives way and sleep waits with its dark, tranquil depths. There is nothing to do now but let yourself fall, like water when it reaches its edge, with the full confidence that below there is something to catch the fall. Water always finds its way. You will find it too. Tomorrow, tonight, just let yourself fall. Sleep. Waterfalls, rain and wind. Chapter 2. Gentle rain and wind in the trees, a natural rhythm for rest. I want to tell you something you may already know, but that we sometimes forget when the day has been long and your mind hasn't yet let go of everything it's been carrying. I want to remind you that outside, right now, whilst you're here and your eyes feel a little heavier than they did a moment ago, the world keeps breathing. It hasn't stopped. It isn't expecting anything from you. It is simply being what it has always been, a living place. Damp, full of gentle movement and sounds that have existed long before we humans came along to hear them. It's raining outside, or perhaps it isn't raining where you are, but somewhere in the world it is raining right now. It's always raining somewhere. There are forests that tonight are receiving the rain with that silent gratitude that trees possess, that way of opening each leaf as if it were a small palm stretched out towards the sky. There are meadows where the grass bends slightly under the weight of the raindrops and then stands upright again, supple and calm, as if the weight of the water were a gift it accepts effortlessly. There are rivers that tonight have a little more of themselves, a little more presence and voice, because the rain has given them what the rain always gives, continuity. And there is wind, that wind which, amongst the trees, does not sound as it does in the cities, where it crashes against the street corners and whistles through the cables, arriving cold and without a story. In the forest, the wind has a different character. It comes from afar, from somewhere we cannot see but which we sense in some way. And when it touches the treetops, it creates something that has no exact name in any language, but which we all recognize when we hear it, that collective whisper, that murmur of thousands of leaves moving at the same time, which is one of the oldest things human ears have ever heard. Close your eyes if you haven't already. You don't have to do anything else. Close your eyes and let this voice carry you, slowly, without haste, through the places where the rain and wind go about their usual business, through the places where nature has been perfecting, for millions of years, the art of sounding exactly as you need to hear in order to fall asleep. Let's start in a forest. Not a specific one, not one you have to struggle to find on a map, but in the forest that exists somewhere between memory and imagination, where the trees are exactly the size they need to be, and the ground is covered with that carpet of moss and decaying leaves that cushions every step and makes walking amongst the trees feel a little like walking on something that breathes. It is late. The light remaining between the branches is that light which is not yet light, but the gradual absence of the light that came before, that slow, gentle process that photographers call the blue hour and that poets have tried to describe without quite succeeding, because there are things that language can only approximate. The sky above the treetops has shifted from orange to violet and is now settling into a dark blue that still retains a little warmth at the edges of the horizon, a trace of what the day once was. And then it begins. Not suddenly, because rain in the forest never begins suddenly. It begins from above, from the treetops, where the first drops arrive and bounce off the leaves with a sound that, from below, is almost a whisper. The leaves of the oak sound different from the leaves of the beech. Those of the beech differ from those of the alder. Those of the alder differ from the needles of the pine. And all that polyphony of textures and sizes and shapes, creating slightly different sounds upon contact with the water, becomes something that sound scientists call pink noise. That type of sound whose frequencies are distributed in such a way that the human brain processes them not as a stimulus, but as background noise. Not as something to pay attention to, but as something on which to rest one's attention. We know this now. It is known to the neuroscientists who have studied sleep in laboratories at many universities around the world. Those who have placed electrodes on the heads of sleeping volunteers and measured the brain waves that accompany each phase of rest. They know that pink noise, that soft, constant sound comprising both low and high frequencies, but distributed in such a way that the low frequencies are always slightly more prominent, reduces the time it takes for the brain to enter the deepest stages of sleep. It reduces nocturnal micro-awakenings, those brief moments of alertness that interrupt sleep without the sleeper being aware of them. It improves memory quality the following day, because it is during deep sleep that the brain consolidates what it has learnt during the day. And the rain in the forest is, without anyone having designed it for that purpose, a perfect generator of pink noise. Nature arrived at that solution long before scientists gave it a name. Millions of years of evolution have attuned the human nervous system to precisely that kind of sound, because our ancestors slept outdoors or in shelters that offered no insulation from the outside world. And the sound of rain was the sound of a night that promised the same as it promises now. The water keeps falling. The world remains the world. You can let your guard down and rest. The raindrops have now reached the forest floor. They have traveled their path from the cloud to here, a journey that may be several kilometers long and which took perhaps 20 minutes to complete. Those drops you now feel on your imaginary skin, those drops gently striking the leaves around you, began their existence as water vapor warmed by the sun from the surface of some ocean, some lake, some tree leaf. They rose invisibly, joined with other invisible molecules, formed a cloud that the winds carried here, and now they have returned to the earth to begin anew the cycle that has been repeating without interruption since water has existed on this planet. 4.5 billion years of cycle. The water falling tonight upon the forest has been ocean and cloud and river and ice and vapor and rain millions of times. It has been inside dinosaurs. It has been part of glaciers that no longer exist. It has flowed through rivers whose names have been forgotten for so long that no human being remembers them. And tonight it is here, falling upon these leaves, making this sound, reaching your ears as if it had been searching for you all along. There is something comforting in that antiquity, in knowing that what you hear tonight is exactly the same as what everyone who came before you heard. No matter what era they lived in, no matter where in the world, every human being who ever fell asleep listening to the rain heard the same thing you hear now. That sound hasn't changed. It cannot change. It is the sound of water meeting the earth, and it is so elemental, so prior to anything we humans have built or invented or thought, that when we hear it, something very deep within us recognizes it. Something that is not exactly the mind, nor exactly the body, but that part of us that still remembers having been part of nature before we began to observe it from the outside. The wind has arrived too. You notice it first in the treetops, high above, where the tallest branches sway with a slowness that, from below, seems impossible for something so tall and slender. Those branches ought to snap. they ought to resist. But the tree has learnt, over centuries of growing and weathering storms, that rigidity is not the answer to the wind. The answer to the wind is flexibility. It is to let oneself be moved. It is to go with the movement of the air rather than resist it. To absorb the energy of the gust by distributing it throughout the whole body, from the highest branches to the deepest roots. There is a lesson in this that the tree has been practicing ever since the first tree grew on this planet. A lesson that we humans have had to learn many times and which we keep forgetting, that certain forces are not overcome by resisting them. They are navigated by moving with them. Sleep is one of those forces. It doesn't come when you seek it too hard, when you tense up trying to catch it. It comes when you stop looking for it, when you become as flexible as the tree in the wind and let it move you. The sound of the wind in the trees has a name that linguists call psithurism, from ancient Greek. The word the Greeks used for that specific rustling of leaves stirred by the air. It is a word that sounds like what it describes, psithurism. Soft, sibilant, a little secretive. The ancient Greeks had a god of the forest wind, a minor deity called Psithuros, who lived amongst the trees and was responsible for that murmur. They didn't need to understand the aerodynamics of leaves to know that this sound was special. They felt it, and they named it so they could bring it closer to them. That human need to name the sounds of nature says something about our relationship with them. When we name something, we bring it into the world of language, into the world where we can think about it and remember it and share it. And when we name the sound of the wind in the trees, when we say psithurism or simply the wind in the forest, what we are doing is acknowledging that this sound has a life of its own, that it is not just noise, that it is something that deserves to be listened to carefully, something that has something to tell us if we are willing to listen. What is the wind in the trees telling you tonight? It tells you what it has always said. That movement need not be urgent. That things can change position. They can sway and turn and lean, without that being a crisis. That the world can move around you whilst you remain calm at your center, like the tree trunk that stands firm even as the branches dance in the storm. Let's travel now. Stay where you are. There's no need to move, but let this voice take you to another place whilst the first one continues to echo in some corner of your memory. Let's go north, deep into the north, to those latitudes where the forests are of pines and firs, and the ground in winter is covered in snow that muffles all sounds except those of the wind and water. We are in Scandinavia, on an early autumn night, when the snow has not yet arrived, but the air already has that bite that heralds its approach. The trees here are tall and dark, Norwegian firs with their drooping branches like weary arms, Scots pines with their reddish trunks which, in the twilight, have the color of smoldering embers. The ground is a mixture of pine needles, blueberries and mosses growing on the stumps of fallen trees with that silent tenacity of everything that finds a way to live where life is difficult. And here it rains differently from how it used to rain in the temperate forest of yore. Here the rain is finer, almost mist in its gentlest moments, and it falls at an angle because there is always a breeze at these latitudes, a wind that comes from the north, smelling of frozen sea and nameless distances. The fir needles catch that fine rain and gather it at their tips until the weight is enough for it to fall, and then it falls in larger drops, heavier, which strike the ground with a more distinct sound. Tap, 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 like fingers on a table, but softer, like time marking its own rhythm in the silence of the Nordic forest. The peoples who have lived in these forests for millennia, the Scandinavians, with their tradition of long winter nights and cultivated domestic intimacy as a response to the cold outside, have a concept that in recent years has traveled the world and has been given a name in languages that previously had none, hygge. Say the Danes. Miss, say the Swedes. That inner warmth, the comfort created when it is cold and dark outside and you are inside, by the fire or candlelight, with the people you love or simply on your own, listening to the rain or wind outside, knowing that outside is outside and inside is inside. Hygge doesn't need much. It needs the outside to be inhospitable enough to make the inside feel like a refuge. And that is exactly what you feel right now, if you allow yourself to, that the rain and wind you hear are outside, and that you are inside, that there is a safe distance between the movement of the world and your own body, which is here, still, heavy with the pleasant weight of tiredness that is turning into rest. Neuroscientists who study sleep talk about something they call core body temperature. For sleep to set in, the body needs to lower its internal temperature slightly and redistribute heat from the core to the extremities. That is why people often have cold feet when they struggle to fall asleep. The heat has not yet traveled down to the feet. The redistribution process has not been completed. And that is also why a cool environment promotes sleep when it is cool outside. The body completes this process of central cooling more easily. A cool room, warm blankets, the sound of rain or wind outside are the perfect conditions the body has been seeking for millions of years to let go of wakefulness and drift into sleep. The northern forest tonight is giving you exactly that. The cold, damp outside that makes the inside, your inside, feel like what it is, a refuge. A place where there is nothing to do except be. Let's keep traveling. Southwards now, towards warmer latitudes, towards one of those landscapes that, when you see them for the first time, you understand why people have been writing poetry about them for centuries. We are on the Atlantic coast, somewhere between Portugal and northwestern Spain. In that region, the Galicians call a fin do mundo, the end of the world, because here, indeed, the land ends and the ocean begins with no warning other than the cliff that drops abruptly into the sea. It is a summer's night, warm, but with that Atlantic humidity that permeates everything. That makes even the stones sweat and the grass in the fields so intensely green it looks as if it were painted. There is an oak forest here, one of those Atlantic forests that botanists call carboleras, which are so ancient, so dense, so full of lichen and damp and history, that stepping into them feels like stepping into a different time. The trunks of these oaks are twisted, gnarled, with a texture of centuries in their bark. Some have hollows at the base where someone could live if they were in the habit of living inside trees. And on a night like this, with the rain falling softly and the ocean wind blowing through the trunks with that scent of salt and seaweed characteristic of the North Atlantic, those hollows look like little caves of light and warmth. The rain here has a different rhythm, not the regular, fine rhythm of the Scandinavian north, nor the sudden, generous downpour of the tropics. It is a constant, patient rain, the sort that seems to have decided to stay and is in no hurry to end. The Galicians have a word to describe this kind of rain that the Castilians do not have, and which the Galicians pronounce with a tenderness that says a great deal about their relationship with water, orballo. It is the fine drizzle, almost imperceptible, that wets everything without you being able to pinpoint exactly when you started to get wet. It is the rain that seeps in, that does not strike but caresses, that does not fall but floats. The mist tonight is warm. It has the temperature of something alive. And amongst the centuries-old oaks of this Atlantic oak grove, that mist and the gentle breeze coming from the sea create together a melody that the people of this land have heard ever since they first settled here. It is the background music of all Galician literature, of all its poetry, of that whole tradition of saudade shared by Galicians and Portuguese, that sweet melancholy which is not quite sadness, but rather the awareness that beautiful things are fleeting and that this transience is part of their beauty. You don't need to understand Galician to feel what that music does. the rain on the oak trees, the Atlantic wind among the twisted branches, the streams running between the roots with water that has already travelled its path from the cloud to the ground and now seeks the nearest river. All of that together forms a sonic texture that is at once ancient and utterly present, that exists right now, in this very moment, exactly as it did 1,000 years ago when someone walked through this very forest on a night much like this. There is something powerful in that continuity, in knowing that the sound you hear has not changed, that it cannot change, that it is one of the few elements in the world that remains identical to itself across the centuries. Kingdoms have changed. Languages have been born and died. Cities have sprung up where there was once countryside and have vanished where there was once civilization. But the sound of the orbalo over the oaks of a Galician oak grove is the same tonight as it was 1,000 years ago. And in that permanence there is something that invites you to let go of the feeling that time is carrying you away at breakneck speed towards some place you cannot control. Because time also has this rhythm. Time also has this patience. We set off on our journey once more, this time further afield, much further afield, to a place you have probably never visited, but which exists with absolute certainty, in those latitudes where vegetation grows with such abundance that, to the eyes of someone raised in more temperate climates, it seems almost impossible. We are in the rainforest, not the jungle of adventure films, dense and inhospitable and full of hidden dangers. We are in the jungle at night, when the light no longer warms and the sounds of the day have given way to the sounds of the night, which are completely different and in a way richer, more complex, more layered. It rains here too. In the tropical jungle, it rains with a regularity and intensity that dictates everything else, the shape of the leaves, which grow with a pronounced tip so that the water slides off and does not accumulate and rot the plant. The structure of the trees, which, in the uppermost layers, form that continuous canopy that intercepts most of the rain before it reaches the ground. The ground itself, covered with a layer of decomposing organic matter which acts like a sponge, absorbing the water before it turns into flooding. The rain falling on the rainforest canopy produces a sound that ecoacousticians, scientists who study the sounds of ecosystems, describe as one of the most complex auditory experiences in the natural world. Because it is not a single sound, it is thousands of overlapping sounds. The thud of a large raindrop on the broad leaf of a fern, the soft patter on the exposed wood of the fallen trunk, the murmur of the microcurrents of water forming amongst the roots, the intermittent dripping falling from the second layer of the canopy to the third, already slowed down, already transformed along the way. And beneath all that, giving it structure and depth, the sound of the water that has already reached the ground and is beginning to move, to seek out the channels it knows, to join with other streams to form something that in a few hours will become a river and in a few days will reach the sea. That deep sound, that low, continuous note coming from beneath the sound of the visible rain, is the sound of water fulfilling its destiny. In the rainforest, where the indigenous peoples who have inhabited it for millennia have developed a relationship with nature of a depth that modern cultures are only just beginning to understand. The sound of the night rain is the sound of the world in order. It is the sign that the water cycle continues to function, that the forest continues to receive what it needs to remain as it is, that tomorrow there will be light and warmth and life will continue its course. And when that sound envelops the darkness of the tropical night, when the humid heat and the constant murmur of rain on the canopy create that dense, warm atmosphere that has no equivalent anywhere else on the planet, sleep comes with an ease that seems natural. Because it is natural. Because it is sleep in its original context, in the soundscape for which the human nervous system was designed by evolution. Studies of human populations still living in close contact with nature in tropical regions of Africa, the Amazon, and Southeast Asia reveal something that ought not to surprise us, but does nonetheless. These people sleep better, not necessarily for longer hours, because total sleep time varies less than popular culture suggests. But the quality of sleep, measured by the depth of slow wave sleep and by the efficiency of rest, is superior. And researchers attribute this in part, though not exclusively, to the sound environment, to the fact of sleeping in an environment where the sounds are those that the human body has learned to associate with safety over millions of years. Water, the wind, nocturnal insects, birds singing before dawn. Right now, as you listen to this voice trying to take you to those places, your body is doing something you're not fully aware of. It's responding, not to the words exactly, but to the rhythm of the words, to the slow, steady rhythm of this narration, which is trying to mimic the rhythm of the rain and the wind. Your breathing, if you observe it for a moment, has probably slowed down a little from what it was when you started listening. Your muscles, if you examine them one by one, starting with those in your face and moving down your neck and shoulders, are probably a little less tense. That wasn't down to willpower. It was down to the sound. It was down to the rhythm. It was down to that part of the nervous system that operates below the conscious level and responds directly to what it hears. That part of the nervous system does not distinguish between the actual sound of rain and the description of that sound. Language, when it is sufficiently concrete and sensory, activates the same areas of the brain that direct experience would activate. Neuroscientists have proven it. When you read or hear the description of a smell, your olfactory cortex responds. When you hear a description of a rough texture, your somatosensory cortex responds. When you hear a description of rain on leaves, the brain activates the response patterns it has learnt from listening to real rain throughout a lifetime. And that is why this voice works. That is why bedtime stories, the slow, descriptive narration of landscapes and sounds and sensations, have the effect they do. Not because they trick the brain, but because they accompany it. They give it something familiar and reassuring to hold on to, and the brain does the rest. Let's continue. There are more places where the rain and wind have something to tell you tonight. Places I want you to visit with me before sleep comes and you no longer need any more words. We are in Japan, in the Kyoto region, in one of those temple gardens that the Japanese built over centuries with the same patience with which an artist creates a masterpiece, stone by stone, tree by tree, moss by moss, until the garden ceased to be a designed garden and became something that seems to have grown on its own. That seems natural, even though every element of its nature has been carefully chosen and placed. It is autumn. The Japanese maples, the momeji, are at their most colorful, reds and yellows and oranges that on sunny days seem to glow from within. But tonight it is cloudy and raining, and in the rain the colors of the maples deepen. They become darker and richer, as if the water were saturating them until they became truer than true. The garden has a pond, and in the rain, the pond displays that characteristic which haiku poets, have described time and again as one of the most perfect images nature has to offer, the concentric circles that each drop forms as it hits the water's surface. Each drop is a discrete event, a precise, momentary event that produces a perfectly geometric ripple expanding outwards until it disappears. And when many drops fall at the same time, when the rain is steady, those ripples overlap and interfere with one another, creating a pattern of almost infinite complexity that nevertheless seems perfectly ordered, as if the water were drawing something whose meaning lies just beyond what we can decipher. The poet Matsuo Basho, who lived in the 17th century and wrote some of the most famous haikus in Japanese literature, spent much of his life walking through Japan, stopping in gardens and woods and by rivers, listening to the rain and the wind with an attentiveness we would call meditative. His haikus do not attempt to explain nature. They attempt to capture the exact moment when nature and consciousness touch. That fleeting instant when one watches a drop falling into a pond and thinks of nothing because there is no need to think of anything. The image is complete in itself. The Japanese have a concept called ma, which translates roughly as the space between things. The pause, the silence that gives meaning to the sounds around it. Ma is in music, in architecture, in poetry, in conversation, and it is also in the rain. Between each drop there is a ma, a fleeting silence that makes each drop audible as an individual before the next one arrives. And in that ma, in that space between the sounds, is where tranquility lives. Listen to the ma tonight. Listen to the tiny silences between the raindrops that you can imagine. Listen to the space between the gusts of wind, that pause in which the wind catches its breath before returning. In those spaces, in those pauses, there is something that the constant noise of the day prevents us from hearing, the background sound of the world. That low, constant hum that is not exactly a sound but the absence of absolute silence, the fabric of which reality is made when everything else falls silent. The Japanese garden in the autumn rain, the red maples with their leaves heavy with water, the pond with its concentric circles that multiply and overlap, the moss on the ground, which tonight is so green it seems to glow in the dark, and the wind that now and then stirs the branches of the maples and causes a secondary shower of larger drops which have been resting on the leaves and now fall together. A small local storm within the greater storm. All of that is happening right now in that garden. You don't need to be physically there to feel it. The brain, which is the most powerful tool there is for creating inner reality, can construct it so completely that the senses respond as if it were real. And when the senses respond as if it were real, the body responds too. Your breathing slows down. Your heart rate drops by a beat or two per minute. Your eyelids, which are already heavy, feel a little heavier. Let's travel once more. The last journey of the night, before sleep claims you for itself. Let's go to a place very different from all the previous ones. Let's go to the desert. The desert seems like the antithesis of everything we've been talking about. Rain, water, humidity, greenery. But the desert has its own relationship with rain. And that relationship is precisely so intense because it is so rare. In the desert, when it rains, the event is so rare that the entire landscape changes. The parched, hard ground that the sun has been baking for months of waiting suddenly receives the water, and something extraordinary happens. It awakens. The scent of the desert in the rain is one of the most intense and recognizable scents in the natural world. So distinctive that it has its own name, petrichor, from the Greek petra, stone, and ichor, the fluid that flowed through the veins of the gods. Petrichor is the scent of geosmin, an organic molecule produced by soil bacteria when water arrives after a dry spell. Plants absorb it and release it when the rain wets them. And we humans are extraordinarily sensitive to it. We can detect geosmin in concentrations of parts per billion, a sensitivity that some researchers interpret as an evolutionary legacy from times when detecting rain from a distance was crucial for survival. Our sense of smell told us what our eyes could not yet see, that water was on its way. Tonight in the desert, the rain has arrived at the end of the day, and the petrichor is in the air with an intensity you can almost touch. The desert plants, the creosote bushes, and the cacti and the grasses that have been dormant, waiting for this moment, are responding to the water with surprising speed in a matter of hours. Some of them will already have begun to bloom. The desert wastes no time when the water arrives. It knows it won't last long and that it must make the most of it. And the wind here, in the desert, when it rains, carries that scent for miles. It is still a warm wind, because the desert ground has stored up the day's heat and is slow to cool down. And when that warm, humid wind, redolent of petrichor, envelops you, something that is very difficult to describe but which is absolutely real happens in the body, a kind of surrender. As if the scent were a signal so ancient, so fundamentally linked to the notion of survival and abundance, that the nervous system responds to it with a deep and immediate relaxation. The stars over the desert on a rainy night are something that anyone who has seen them will not easily forget. The rain is light, more like a veil than a curtain. And between the veils, there are moments when the sky clears and they appear with that impossible clarity that only the desert sky offers, because there is no humidity or pollution to dim it. The entire Milky Way, visible from horizon to horizon, the planets shining without blinking, with a steady light that sets them apart from the stars, and the occasional meteor that crosses the sky in silence and vanishes before you've finished pointing it out. That star-filled sky over the rainy desert, redolent of petrichor, that warm wind that smells of wet earth after months of drought, that light rain falling on the sand and on the stones and on the plants that were waiting for it and now open up to it as if they had never doubted it would come. All of that is the world being true to itself. All of that is nature doing what nature does, with the same patience and the same constancy with which it has always done so, and with which it will continue to do so when we are no longer here to see it. And there is something in that permanence, in that constancy of natural cycles, that is deeply reassuring. The water cycle has not been interrupted in 4.5 billion years. The wind continues to blow because the sun continues to heat the Earth's surface unevenly, creating pressure differences that the air fills by moving from high pressure to low pressure areas, as it always has and as it will continue to do. Rain continues to fall because water continues to evaporate and cool and condense and fall again in the most perfect cycle that exists. You are part of that cycle, not metaphorically, literally. The water in your body, the 70% of you that is water, has been in clouds and in rivers and in oceans and in other living beings before it was in you. Tomorrow, or years from now, part of that water will be elsewhere, in another cycle, in another form. But tonight it is here, with you, in this body that is seeking the rest it needs. Let the cycle carry you. There is nothing to be done. There is nowhere you need to go tonight except into sleep. And sleep is already waiting for you, just as the ocean waits for the river, without impatience, without urgency, simply there, ready to welcome you when you arrive. The oak forest where we began is still there. The fine rain continues to fall on the leaves with that sound that never tires because it makes no pretense of being interesting. It is simply constant. It is simply true to itself. Tap, tap, tap on the moss. A soft tinkling over the water of the stream flowing between the roots. A broad, continuous whisper over the treetops, where the wind and rain work together to create that sound which is more than the sum of its parts. Your breathing has slowed down. Whether you've noticed it or not, it has happened. It is what the body does when it hears these sounds, when the parasympathetic nervous system, the system of calm and recovery, takes over from the sympathetic system that has been active during the day. Your heart beats at a calmer rhythm. Your muscles have released the tension they built up during the day. Your eyes, behind your closed eyelids, have moved upward slightly, as they do in the early stages of sleep. There is a phase of sleep that scientists call hypnagogia, that transitional state between wakefulness and sleep in which the mind begins to produce images, sounds, and sensations that do not quite belong to either state. It is the moment when thoughts lose their coherence and begin to fragment to associate in ways that the waking mind would not allow. It is the moment when an image of rain on leaves can become the sound of something that has no name, and that sound can lead to a sensation of floating, and that sensation can lead to a color you have never seen before, but which you recognize. You are approaching that state. I can tell because the rhythm of the words has slowed down, because the sentences have become shorter, because there is more space between one idea and the next. Space is the ma, the Japanese pause that gives meaning to sound. And in that space, the dream waits. The wind rustling through the trees tonight is yours. The gentle rain falling on the world whilst you rest is yours. The desert's petrichor, the Galician orbalo, the Nordic psithurism, the sound of the tropical canopy receiving the water the sun stole from it this morning, all of that belongs to you tonight. Not as possession, but as companionship. Like the background sound the world offers you, so that you can close your eyes and know that whilst you sleep, the cycle continues. The water keeps moving. The wind keeps blowing. The earth keeps turning. And you, in the midst of all that, can rest. The leaves are moving very slowly now. The wind has died down, as it always does at dusk when the ground cools and the temperature differences that generate the wind diminish. It is the night wind, gentler and more intimate than the wind of the day. The wind that is in no hurry because the night is long and there is time for everything. The rain has also eased. It has gone from being an active presence to something more like a murmur. A constant, soothing murmur that covers the silence without filling it entirely. That is there without demanding that you listen to it. Let that murmur be the last thing you hear tonight. Not the words, which have already served their purpose of bringing you this far, but the sound beneath the words, the sound that the words were trying to describe and which you can now hear directly, without intermediaries. The sound of the natural world doing what it has always done. The sound of water and wind and trees and time passing with its centuries-old patience. The dream is here. It is in the weight of your eyelids, and in the slowness of your breathing, and in the warmth that has spread throughout your body, and in that soft point somewhere between consciousness and sleep, where words no longer quite reach. Here the world is rain and wind. Here the world is gentle. Here you can let go of everything else. The forest breathes with you tonight.
Release the tension in your forehead. Relax the muscles around your eyes. Let your arms rest completely, heavy and warm at either side of your body. Your breath now flows naturally, like gentle waves lapping at the shore and receding effortlessly. The stories you have heard tonight slowly fade away, becoming distant whispers that you no longer need to follow. If this journey through time has served you well, you can support this space by liking, subscribing, or sharing your thoughts in the comments. That way, more people seeking rest may find refuge here. And if you are still awake, there is another story waiting in silence, ready to guide you deeper into sleep. But for now, let the voices of the past fade gently away. Let the names, dates, and events melt into the mist of the night's oblivion. The story can wait until tomorrow. Close your eyes. Let go of everything. Rest deeply, and may you have sweet dreams.